Report out of the world, or the Bishop Grady, let y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in again. Make sure you check out blackfilesnews.com/shop to actually support the movement, get yourself some BFN paraphernalia. You can also donate directly to the cause by going on blackfilesnews.com, the homepage, or go to /opportunities if you actually want to check and get part of this these advertisement programs that we have. Tap into our markets that are across multiple thousands of people across multiple social media platforms, and we're talking about like conscious bias, so people who think and therefore will reuse your product. So you might want to get with us on that. Now going into this news, yesterday Congress officially passed or approved of the $900 billion coronavirus relief package, the first relief aid since April. Now, this is part of a larger relief package that's worth $2.3 trillion, which includes $1.4 trillion to actually fund the government. So that difference being $900 billion. Now you have in this package, this is one of the largest relief packages in U.S. history, by the way. But this is actually something that will have provided $600 for a stimulus check to adults making up to 75 G's a year, and then $600 per child for towards every adult who's making up to 75K who has children. You have a $300 per week unemployment income for the next 11 weeks. You have an extension on an eviction moratorium, meaning they're gonna extend the amount of time that evictions are essentially suspended. You have money for hospitals and for schools. There are actually there's $284 billion going towards the Paycheck Protection Program, which basically set up aid for small businesses. There will also be money in there for vaccines and vaccine distribution. So we will see how this all ends up playing out. Green War and Graduation. Report out of the world, go to Bishop Grady, let y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So COVID-19 still kicking the United States ass. We're talking about on Monday, 200,000 new infections of COVID-19 throughout this country, 2,000 deaths due to COVID-19. We have a world record of hospitalizations with 115,000 on Monday. We also have 16 states seeing record surges in deaths and infections. And you're talking about a place like Cali, where they're seeing a lot of, obviously seeing a rise in COVID cases. And even in the beginning, during the spring of time in the pandemic, this was a state that was seeing a huge surge in COVID-19 cases as well. Well, you're talking about Southern California, actually, in the San Joaquin Valley, intensive care units are being maxed out. You know what I mean? There are places where there are no ICU beds available at all. And this comes as the transportation, the TSA, Transportation Security Authority Administration, actually has they screened 1 million travelers per day during this past weekend. So it seems clear that Americans were pretty much just ignoring the advice of health officials as far as remaining home and not traveling too much during the holidays. Niggas is like, fuck that. So and shit might get worse before it gets better. Green War and Graduation. Report out of the world, though, the Bishop Grady, let y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So I told y'all that Pfizer BioNTech vaccine is out here, but that Moderna just recently got that emergency use authorization, whatever, has been distributed throughout the U.S. Well, the first doses have actually been administered yesterday. With one of the first people getting the vaccine was Arlene Ramirez, a nurse from Queens, who actually is 44 years old, and she was speaking to the press and saying this, and after having taken the vaccine, talking about how she lost her father to it. She had actually contracted COVID-19 in March, and she was basically saying, being in the hospital and seeing death after death, people clinging on to life, enduring it all at the same time. The illness of her father, her being severely ill, and 36 days of her father in ICU. The vaccine serves as hope that this pandemic can, things can change and this pandemic can be beaten. Now, You have Joe Biden, the president-elect. He actually publicly got vaccinated with the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine, and was urging Americans to go ahead and get it or whatever. Like, it from my standpoint, it did look very much like something was injected in him or whatever. Was it the COVID-19 vaccine though? Could be smoke and mirrors, maybe not, or whatever. But at least it looked like he got vaccinated, because honestly, when Mike Pence and his wife and the other Surgeon General was actually publicly getting vaccinated or whatever, it looked kind of shady, to keep it all the way real. And some of these public vaccinations have been looking like people weren't really getting vaccinated. There's actually one that was shared on Black Fox News Instagram page, where it is clear that this is a staged vaccination. You know what I'm saying? And it's made to look like a healthcare professional is getting vaccinated. So, maybe they're trying to, I don't know, they could be trying to pull a fast one. But I will say this though, the Vatican has actually sent out a message to all Catholics around the world saying that it is morally acceptable to get the COVID-19 vaccine or any vaccinations that were created with cell lines from aborted fetuses. Now, why would you even have to say that? Well, it's understood that a lot of vaccines out here come from cell lines of aborted fetuses. The most popular ones being WI38 and MRC5, where they're created from, they were created with cells, with a cell that actually came. With the MRC5, for example, this is something that decades ago was created from a cell of the lungs of an aborted fetus. And when they say cell lines, like, it's not like you're taking aborted fetuses today and making the vaccine, but that cell line, the cell from that aborted fetus decades ago, allowed them to create the vaccine that is now being replicated and being used today. So that's what's going on when they say that, saying it's morally acceptable or not, or whatever. It's like, a tiny little speck of an aborted fetus. Like, is that really an issue? You know what I'm saying? How does that not help people, survive or whatever, or actually contribute to science? Is it worth it? Is it worth your soul? Some people really feel strongly about this, whatever. But I me personally, it ain't even about what I got to say personally. You know what I'm saying? So everybody, you just gotta do what you gotta do and make your best judgment. But for y'all Catholics, y'all got to go ahead from the Vatican. You know what I mean? But this is also an institution that systematically rapes boys. So I don't know if that's the people you want to go with. Green War Graduation. Report out of the world, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So James Clyburn, this is South Carolina congressman, but he's actually subpoenaed and ordered for documents to be turned over by December 30th from Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar and the director of the Center for Disease Control Prevention, Robert Redfield. Now, he said that, Clyburn, that is, said that an investigation done by the Select Subcommittee for the Coronavirus Crisis actually found that there was White House political interference that actually hindered the United States' ability to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic, the coronavirus or whatever, and did so in a way that, more extensively than previously thought. So, it seemed like that. For all the shady shit that I done reported to y'all, it's probably more shit. Green War Graduation. Report out of the world, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So, over there in the United Kingdom, ever since Prime Minister Boris Johnson actually announced that there's a new strand of coronavirus and that is 70% more contagious, or 70% contagious, and more contagious than than COVID-19. The UK and Britain has been increasingly cut off from other countries around the world. We're talking about over 40 countries actually have more either to have temporarily blocked some or all travel coming from Britain. And right now, it's actually led to, you got grocery stores talking about food shortages because you got the food delivery trucks piling up on outside of the Channel Tunnel, the tunnel that actually separates, on the France side, the tunnel that actually separates Britain from the mainland Europe. Now, a lot of observers are saying like this is what would happen if there's a no deal Brexit allowed to go into the new year. Brexit being the exit of Britain from the European Union, by the way. But at the same time, you got researchers that are saying that they it's not a fact that this new strain is more contagious. Like this hasn't been researched or thoroughly researched and proven, and that actually they feel like it may have been already detected due to Britain's like extensive monitoring system. So we'll wait to see how this new mutation plays out, but clearly a lot of governments are not trying to wait to see. We ain't going graduation. Report of the New World Order Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So in his final press conference as Attorney General, outgoing AG William Barr, who apparently was fired because he basically said that there was no proof that the elections were rigged for the president, basically. He actually broke again from the president on Monday by saying that there was no need to actually have a special counsel to look into the November election results or to investigate Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, and Joe Biden being the president-elect. And mind you, last year, and you could go to World Broadcast, BFN World Broadcast number 16, that's a fact, where I break down the funny business that came up with Hunter Biden and why people want an investigation into him or whatever, thinking he had shady dealings and, trying to link that to Joe Biden or whatever. But, that's it. They're still on that. Now, also, William Barr said that there's also no need to, he basically rejected Trump's proposal for the Department of Homeland Security to actually seize all of the voting machines. So, Trump on some nut shit and William Barr been on some nut shit, but because he didn't continue to be on some nut shit, he got fired. Like motherfucking one of the contestants on The Apprentice, you know what I'm saying? So, but there we have it though, Green War and graduation. Report of the New World Order Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. Yo, Trump not trying to hear that losing shit at all. He's still working on ways to actually overturn the election results. He apparently had a private meeting in the White House with Republican lawmakers, Vice President Mike Pence. One of those lawmakers included Alabama Congressmember Mo Brooks. Meeting with them, basically looking at how they're going to change the Electoral College results in January. Now, also, Sidney Powell, this is a lawyer. You could say she's a conspiracy theorist or whatever, but she was pushing out this narrative that the voting machines were, changing the election results and, basically trying to run with that story or whatever. And this is also somebody that has been a lawyer for Michael Flynn, who Trump had, like, national security advisor who Trump had pardoned, who was found guilty twice of lying to the FBI over, over the White House's contact with Russia, basically trying to protect Trump and whatnot. But that's going on. I mean, on the flip side, you have a televangelist, Pat Robertson, who actually, publicly, to his congregation, whatever, has said like that he thinks Trump needs to be retired. You know what I mean? He actually said that, you've had your day. Now it's time to move on. Now this is somebody, mind you, he represents, he talks to millions of evangelical Christians or whatever, and this represents a huge part of Trump's voting base. So, a lot of people is just really not going for the shit show with this guy, man. But we'll see what type of rabbits out of the hat that Trump tries to pull. Green War and graduation. Report of the New World Order Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So, according to the Washington Post, President-elect Joe Biden is actually set to pick Connecticut school commissioner Miguel Cardona to actually be the Secretary of Education, replacing Betsy DeVos. Now, this is actually somebody who became a Connecticut's youngest principal at age 28. This is somebody who entered the school education career as a fourth grade teacher. Puerto Rican. He grew up in the Jets. You know what I'm saying? Public housing and all of that, whatever. He also did advocate for like opening schools during the pandemic. Even though in Connecticut right now, only a third of schools are even having in-person classes at the moment. But you know, he has his administration was known for actually using federal aid to actually get personal protective equipment for teachers in classrooms, as well as allocating funds towards laptops and internet access for students who actually have been remaining at home. So this is somebody that's shown themselves to actually think about what these students are going through, what most students are going through. The non-wealthy ones are gonna have to deal with whatever. So I think that would be a great pick, but it should be noted that this decision is not final. But man, it would be refreshing to have somebody like that as opposed to Betsy DeVos, who, you know, seems like there's a huge lack of connection between her and shit, the streets, for real. Greenville graduation. This report out of the world, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. Yo, shout out to Onita and Clive Thompson. This is a Jamaican undocumented couple that was actually in this church in Philadelphia for 2 years, hiding out, basically trying to avoid deportation. Well, the federal government has actually killed their deportation order. So, you know, they walked out of the church, you know what I mean, a bunch of people cheering and, you know, blowing whistles and ringing bells and, you know, holding up signs and all of that. You know, it was a lot of love. Keep in mind, the Thompsons, they fled Jamaica 15 years ago after a gang had burned down their farm and threatened to kill them. So now this is, and you know, they have 7 kids, 3 of whom are U.S. citizens. So them facing deportation is kind of ill. Staking out in a church in Philly for 2. Report out of the world, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So you have 9 Republican attorneys generals from 9 different states that actually have filed a lawsuit and are asking a federal judge to declare the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, also known as DACA, to declare DACA to be unlawful. And this is like, we're 2 weeks removed from when a federal judge had already ordered the Trump administration to fully restore DACA. So it's very interesting. Keep in mind, this is something that was passed in 2012 under Obama. And Obama's the reporter in chief, but DACA was passed under Obama, and it basically has provided deportation protection and work permits to at least 700,000 people in the U.S. who were brought here as children undocumented. So, Greenville graduation. This report out of the world, though, the Bishop Grady let y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So it is being reported by Reuters that the incoming administration, Joe Biden's administration, is actually planning on granting 1 million undocumented migrants with TPS, temporary protected status. These would be people from Guatemala and Honduras. After they may have been displaced due to hurricanes Ada and Iota hitting up Central America during November. So a decision on this is expected to be had after Joe Biden becomes president officially, which will be after the January 20th inauguration. But we'll see how this pans out. Greenville graduation. Report out of the world, though, the Bishop Grady let y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So Congress has actually passed a bipartisan bill that will allow for an expansion of critical funding to help with identifying human remains of migrants and asylum seekers who have died while trying to cross the U.S.-Mexico border in remote areas. Now, this is the legislation also calls for the addition of 911 rescue beacons to actually be placed in these some regions along the border where these migrants often go missing. Now, you're talking about this being a something that is, you know, keep in mind, thousands of human remains have actually been found along the U.S.-Mexico border ever since the prevention through deterrence policy was actually enacted for immigration, which in and of itself had actually pushed migrants towards like trying to cross remote and dangerous areas in order to get into the U.S. Greenville graduation. Report out of the world, though, the Bishop Grady let y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. What the fuck is going on with Mexico, man? You talking about a country that, as of November, actually has 31,000 murders on its hand. You know what I'm saying? And there's been a lot of violence that's been going on in recent years, of course, with the drug war going on, whatever. But this one takes the cake. One of the highest profile assassinations the country has ever seen took place this past Friday when former governor of the Mexico state known as Jalisco, or Jalisco is what it is, how it would probably be pronounced in English, but in the Jalisco state, Aristoteles Sandoval, he was actually murdered. He was gunned down in a restaurant bathroom in Puerto Vallarta. So this is obviously seen as crazy. The perpetrators haven't been identified, but people believe it was the Jalisco cartel. So we'll see. Green War graduation. Report out in the world, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report, man. Over in Oregon, man, these right-wing people was going crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gonna call them far right. These far right group members were actually going crazy up there in Oregon, going into the state house to disrupt this special legislative session that they was actually having. Now, mind you, the state house was closed off to the public due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So these motherfuckers was actually at the doors. You know, there's pictures of them like breaking the glass on the doors and breaking in the doors. So they actually broke in to the freaking state house. They're spraying the guards with chemical spray. They're actually assaulting journalists, and they were, 4 people were arrested, but they were doing so basically calling for end to the COVID-19 public health measures that were actually being put in place. Basically, the lockdowns and all of that, whatever, they wasn't having that. The motherfuckers on the right don't be having it. It doesn't matter who catches COVID-19, apparently. But some of the members of these group of people who actually broke in were members of Patriots Prayer. So be on the lookout for them crackers. Green War graduation. Report out in the world, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News Report. Kudos to whoever made this actually go down, because it shows like an actual effort at restoring race relations in the United States. And I say restoring as if they were ever like really good or optimal, but in mending race relations in the U.S. because in the U.S. Capitol, at the National Statuary Hall, the statue of Robert E. Lee, who's at that hall, actually represents Virginia, is actually being replaced. It has been removed. You know what I'm saying? Robert E. Lee, for those who don't know, this was a Confederate general. You know what I'm saying? So one of the most prominent Confederate generals ever. You know what I'm saying? So this is something that's a big deal, and it represents a lot. They're going to replace this statue, apparently, the state of Virginia is going to replace the statue with civil rights pioneer Barbara Johns. Johns is somebody who in 1951, as a 16-year-old, organized like a student walkout protesting against racism or whatever, and also had a lawsuit that became a part of the Brown versus Board of Ed landmark case that actually has integrated schools essentially. So it is a big message that happened. We will see how the public continues to receive it. Green War and graduation.